Well, our long yesterday was good. Have that going for us. Back to this bounce point. Need like over 110 for this to matter. Or like another down leg. Offer holding on bar our red zone. And from there, coming back down into this they do. Step club. We're really trying here at this 80 to 90. They can hold this. See us going to like 6. We're just getting a little bit more aggressive. Those. There's definitely someone trying. Don't get me wrong. Not getting a lot of move. Okay. First target off of the still taking it.
European Parliament seeks faster phase-out of Russian oil and gas. So European EU Parliamentary Committee to vote on amendments to Repower EU.
Above. Can hold 90 now. Either like we retest 90 bid, or we and either one of those. 110 offer still holding. And the bid has to be here, or I just expect this
Just a heads up,
failure,
House
look
Speaker
above,
Johnson
and
speaking on
then
Fox Business.
following our overall trend.
Johnson & Johnson shares hit all-time high after Wells Fargo upgrade stock to overweight from equal weight. Last up 1.8%. GM, Ford, and Stellantis feud over Trump's threatened truck tariffs.
30 seconds till 15.
Further from this, that newest car makers have mounted a furious last-minute lobbying blitz over the Trump administration's potential tariffs on medium and heavy-duty trucks in a fight pitting Detroit's legacy automakers against each other. So Stellantis has lobbied the administration in recent days to waive or soften a possible 25% tariff that could otherwise hit medium-duty Ram pickups the company makes in Mexico, according to people familiar with the matter. Johnson says that we can't extend Obamacare subsidies until shutdown ends.
Man, he really destroyed the car industry.
So GM and Ford, meanwhile, have urged Trump administration officials to dismiss the request. And so the people who asked not to be identified said that also Ford argued that shielding Stellantis from the medium-duty truck tariffs would hand the company a cost advantage over US assembled trucks that contain imported parts already subject to tariffs, they said.
What are we doing? Go. We're holding POC, previous candle on open 15. For some reason, NQ just decided to pause here. Not really sure on that. Very odd. ES has taken out highs following RTY upside. We're just waiting on NQ to get his shit together. We want it to step over 110, and we're holding where we need. This is our 80 to 90. Just this pause is so odd. But yes, and RTY are pushing. And again, we just need to get over 110. Or below 60, 70 in offer. That's how we go down, I think. I don't know. I mean, this pause is gnarly.
House Speaker Johnson says Trump may have a chance to eliminate wasteful programs, and he concludes his remarks.
All right, 110 again should be your first risk off on NQ. Took forever, 80 to 90 held, but Jesus. Need to see a very clear hold above now if we're going to continue higher. Just gonna move over our downside, same area, over our long, and we are at the top, right? So now we need to above this if we're going to. Next target would be 110 in bid. 30s is our 30-second opening range low. Nice.
US stocks extend
I am
gains. Dow
out
Jones
another
up
5 here into
1%.
130. That is our 30-second opening range low, as well as PVZ value. Off of our reversion box holding us supportive, getting our reversion signal, and then rotating up to our valid low, right? So this is just all of this, just reversion signal, recovery of our edge here at our, let me turn off drawings. We shifted POC here at our 80, our pivot. 80 to 90 goes supportive. We then rotate up to our 110, which is our reversion box, right? Get our reversion signal, and then bid and flag here, and then rotate right up into our 130. Next target again from 130 will be our OC shift, right? At 6. Also our Z POC value high. So we can recover our 130 here, then we can rotate up. If this 130 holds, then we're probably looking for a retest of our 110. But we'll see. Got to get through this 30-second opening range. Note that this is our 30-second opening range as well as our 15 VWAP. Just a reversion this level. It's a big test to see if we're going to go up or if this is just going to, from here, now just come right back down, fail, and show that we have no inclination to fire. Right? The way that we build on today is getting over our 30-second opening range, showing this is supportive, and then going up from, right? We're never overall, overtly bullish on the day. We can't even go for our day open again on retest. Will be kind of like the move, this or an upside move. Trade didn't feel great, but like structurally held. You know what I mean? So you just kind of have to be here. Like right, we hold our value edge here, then did the thing. You know, it's like I just like build a position so on our 80 to 90, and then take off into a 10, like I said, and go supportive, and then we 130 range. Then like if supportive, then we up for more. But until then, right, like patient. So now it's just like a matter of from here, come back down, right, and balance here for a bit, or can we build out higher low here and then get over this? Get over this, awesome. And continuation of higher low. It's just channels up, but we got to get over that. Our that liquidity stepped in. What we would call a version. I don't know why it took so long on NQ compared to ES. Like I have no, that was just dumb. But like structurally, right? Like held. So like even though it kind of felt bad, there's like not much we can do other than just like stay in it or dip and wait for us to get back over this pivot. So I'm just gonna take risk off and just like hang out and run on our validation. Because like ES and RTY are still pushing, so like what's there's not really a great argument to be made for anything else. Like if you look on the footprint, like we're holding POC of previous candle on both. Does it feel good? No, not at all. Are you still here? Like it. What's carrying RTY today? Is it just healthcare? Utilities, banks. And what's weak today? Miners, pack, communications. I don't understand why these. I don't get the bullish thesis on healthcare. Don't I will never understand. I'm really lost on that one. Drugs? Question mark. Okay. Huge. I mean, all of these healthcare names are going up because of the Trump announcements, but like I don't understand how they're bullish for healthcare. I don't really get it. Seems like a frenzy. Why did it happen? Okay. Huge takes from kids. Back to our 110 from a bounce off of 90, no change, just the balance that we talked about, coming back up to our up. We can bid here again. Offer sitting at 120, pretty heavy. 136 contracts. I'm just watching our reversion zone edge here again, right? Like our 110, 105. Seeing if we can bid here on a look back to rotate back up to 130, and if we can get over this, or if this is going to be like pretty stagnant here. Again, what we talked about is it just kind of like building in this area, right? Which is fine. Like that's not a big deal, but we need to do something from here because if we push back below 80, then it's downside. But if we can just continue to follow this pattern where we come into 180, or sorry, 80 to 90, and then bid 110, that's fine, right? Like this is just the rotation back up to target. There's no change here. But from here, again, like we gotta get over for upside, or we're gonna continue to rotate here until someone is trapped, and then we finally get below our daily downward. So it's just rotations until we figure it out which way we're gonna break. That's all. Yes, POC is trying to shift up here. What indicator is telling me it's shifting? Developing POC. This right here. So it's shifting from 78, 90, 394. So we know that like if this upper distribution isn't going to hold now, and we can't build from here and get over this, going to head down back to the developing POC at 78. Right, so we just want to be really paying attention because this node is now building out quite a bit of volume. If we start to fail up here, this then becomes an issue. But if we can hold up here, good. Yeah. U15's opening now. This is PVZ secondary zone here. Period 2, if you will. And we can see like PVZ period 2 is here as well with that POC shift that I was just talking about. Doing the work for you. Yeah, developing POC, so good. Bid resting out at 101. Up Cindy. YM chart? Yeah. I should probably have a Y. Where's I mean, there's not much here on YM. It's the same thing where like we just went up, right? Now we're retracing that, building out structure. Things you need to worry about here is a failure to get back above here at 180. Because if 180 fails, right, this is a failure to get back inside value, then we'll be looking for at least one more downside leg. What we need to see is very clear bid back above
So heads up,
180.
House Speaker Johnson is speaking at a news briefing.
This 240. You're not bullish until we can get over this 270. Start to hold this as sort of where your offer rests here. That we can something like this happen. Backed into this fails to push at 180. right? It's just a failure to get back inside value. Super important. Later, Sparrow. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we get any more upside until Russell finds a low. So the areas that we're looking for RTY to find a low here at the 5065 at our value edge, and here at our swap, right? Like these are our two areas where we could potentially see some relief step in. This is the first, right? Get over this, show interest, continue onward from our value high retest. And if this doesn't hold, right, then it's just a reversion back to our VWAP and before we can go on, which would look something like go up from. But this is the areas we're watching to see if we get it here on EF. We already know that NQ is rotating in this. Talked about that. We're not bullish on NQ until we can step over 145 and show that is supportive. We know that all we've done is revert to our VWAP, where sell side is very clearly absorbing. And this can easily, from here, from this area, now come down, right? Show that there's still no interest above, downward. So you're either already in a long runners from our 80 to 90 pivot that we talked about, right? This is our POC. You can see that POC has shifted here on NQ at this 120. And our POC before was at 80. So we are currently rotating between 8, which makes sense. If we start to show a failure to sustain at this 80 from our POC shift here at 120, and we rotate back down and then start to hold this as resistance, that's when we have to start to worry that we want to go down, not up, right? But until then, it's just balance. Not pretty, but it is what it is. We already knew that NQ is kind of weak, right? And as soon as ES and RTY start to lose that momentum that was carrying us, remember that a lot of this movement today is based off of our healthcare sector, our utility sector, our regional bank sector, right? So if these things aren't continuing to push, then we lose a lot of momentum on Russell, which which is why we lose momentum on ES as well, right? We have lots of common names in both. We already know that NQ is very sideways, right? Tech and communications are pretty weak today. See that comparatively compared to our healthcare, our utilities, our energy names, our oil names, financial names. So NQ is a little less heavy in those sectors, right? And it's more heavy in our tech names. So
House
that's
Speaker
why it is so
Johnson says we
sideways.
can work on healthcare subsidies in October.
So if we don't see a rotation into from healthcare and energy and all those names into tech, right? If we don't see that flip and we see both healthcare, energy sell or become neutral with tech, right? We don't see a rotation into them, but they all start to go down. And it makes sense that the market starts to go down, right? Because the things that were carrying us or keeping us or sustaining us up here are no longer pushing, right? So the momentum loss makes sense. We need to see these names find a low first before we can continue onward, because we know that tech isn't bullish, right? And if the names that were sustaining us up here are no longer bullish, then we go down. If we can find a low on the names that are sustaining us, which is why we look at Russell, that gives us a point of where we can be looking for continuation to potentially happen, right? A higher low and then a push and pop. I don't know if YM is a good one to look at because of how mixed our sectors are right now. I think looking at Russell and ES and NQ is probably better situation because Russell is going to give us our low. Unless we see that rotation like I was talking about outside of our defensive sectors, which is like healthcare, energy, etc., financials. and back into growth. Our uh, yeah, defensive to growth, which is more of our tech names. And why again, like YM is just kind of mixed. Why it's kind of like we got that rejection here at that 180, back down to our 120. Let's see. This should be our first target though. This is like a very clear value rejection. The problem on YM also is like there's just like literally no structure. Like it was just like a straight line up. So retracing this just it's like okay, and like yeah, who could have expected that? The only structure we have is this right here. So if we come back to that, like yep, makes sense. But Donna, for you. 10 seconds, still new 15s. NQ still sustaining where it needs to. We just need to see interest over this. And we're just still rejecting our 130, which was our target for longs. I'm still in my runners from 80 to waiting this out. What we can do now that this NQ area is built out, just like we did for down here on this distribution that we created, right? Like this consolidation, whatever you want to call it, this chop, balance that was created, auction, whatever words you want to use. We can now do the same thing for this upper area. Put a fixed range on it. Yeah, it is footprint chart. 15-minute footprint. And then this 15-minute footprint for you. Oh yeah, decent or what? Just okay. Lucky. It had to like be amazing. It had to be like the same level of hype that the vinaigrette had for Chipotle. Like when the vinaigrette came out, like people freaked out. Taking off a little bit more risk here on NQ. I'll look to add to this position if we can look over like we have paths. But we're just into next target here, right? 130 and then this 150. And if we can build above this, then we can look up. If not, then this will be our high. And then we're going to be watching for basically a failure here from this look. And then an offer back below 130 for rotations back through. Yes. Right, because we now have this POC here that's shifted. This is now what we'll be watching for that secondary move. We do get a push below, or this will re-offer from here. Get a lower high, and then we'll look for that rotation through. That would lead down to back to original target. Or sorry, original entry. But why can't I select this? Give it a try yourself. Oh man. Yeah, I'd rather just make it. I haven't had Chipotle in so long.
Senator Thune says that we can't make promise on COVID subsidies. China pushes Trump to drop curbs as it dangles investment. So again, China pushes Trump to drop curbs as it dangles investment.
This is RTY into VWAP. This is where we watch to see if the bid is able to maintain here or not. The chimichurri considered a sauce or a condiment? Is there a difference? Yes, me, there's a difference. Kind of both.
Further detail into this, then, China is pushing the Trump administration to roll back national security restrictions on Chinese deals in the US, dangling the prospect of a massive investment package as part of a proposal that would upend a decade of policy. The demand from China's President Xi's negotiators also include lowering tariffs on imported inputs from the world's second economy used by any Chinese factories built in the US as a result, according to people familiar with the matter. So the proposals were raised during trade talks in Madrid last month, the people said, and during those meetings, the two sides reached a framework deal to keep Chinese social media TikTok operating in the US, despite national security concerns raised by American lawmakers.
Pretty two-sided here at 130. Bid's gotta really try to defend this low. Might be a bit choppy, but the whole idea here is that it needs to absorb sell side and then get over like 550 from here from this absorption, or this will become our offer, right? Where all of our bids above will be trapped following our downside pathing. And I think you'll get another opportunity to get in. I don't think that you need to try to play this reoffer. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but right, like your risk then would be stop at highs if you're trying here on first attempt, which might be a bit too much for some of you. I think that trying off of this retest, right, and then looking for the lower high off of here into this will be probably a bit more beneficial risk-wise. I think that you're going to see some two-sided trading here. There's very clearly a battle happening at 130. Like if 130 can absorb and then we can get over this and then pop, this will be very bullish for the market. But if this two-sided trading ends with sell side holding these buyers offsides above, right, then we step down. I think that you get a reoffer here, and then we rotate through, showing that there's still no interest above day open on the day. Right? Like that's kind of the battle that's happening right now. So again, I've risked off most of my contracts now in this 140, 145 our target, and I'm watching now to see if it can hold here with Russell finding the low at VWAP like we were talking about. Remember, the market needs RTY and all of these underlying sectors that are so heavy in Russell to help carry the market up, because we know that tech is neutral at best.
According to TASS, Russia is not currently considering a ban on diesel fuel exports for producers.
Yeah, it is. It's because like the market isn't being pushed up by NQ, right? So like when we have markets that when we have a market that isn't tech heavy, it's hard because then we're dependent on things that are less weighted to carry, while NQ kind of figures out what it wants. Right? All those tech heavy names are very neutral, very mixed. So when we don't just have like Apple, Tesla, Google, Amazon, pushing the market up, the market becomes a little bit more difficult to trade. When we have like healthcare and energy and banks pushing the market up, it's very mixed. Not the greatest market to trade in the world, but as long as you have the mentality that we don't get clear movement until we have consensus right across the board with RTY and ES and NQ, right? Like where we're all finding like a very similar pivot together and then getting a directional movement when they're all starting to show either weakness or strength together, then I think you're in an okay spot, right? Like finding this RTY VWAP and then looking for the secondary bid over 5065 is going to be very clear for upside. If we can also see NQ pop over 145 at the same time from holding this 130, that'll be a good sign that we want to continue higher. But like if RTY can't get back over this 5065 and NQ starts to hold 130 as offer, that's like pretty weak the market. And then this is just going to be a bear flag from day open, right? We've reverted to day open and now we'll continue downward. That's my guess, at least. That's usually how this kind of stuff plays out when we have a mixed bag. Mm. We pay for financial juice, so it most of like the free feeds that you're getting are a bit delayed. So we're getting like live in the moment news, and it's just like a dude who's reading off of a Bloomberg terminal, basically. But the website, if you want to look for yourself, is Financial Juice. I appreciate it, man. Footprint just died. What's going on? So still very two-sided here on NQ. Not really much to talk about while we wait for Russell to make a decision. Bouncing off of VWAP. Sell side is still taking in on, sorry, the bid is still taking in at 120, 130 on NQ. So still very two-sided, but getting a little heavy down here right off of this failure. I still think that you'll get a better opportunity as we push down into like 117, 118, and then we'll look for that offer if this is going to continue down, right? We have a very clear node that we're building out. We want to see the seller show interest here at the edge node, and then we can look for downside if it's going to go down. I'm still not entirely convinced in the sell. We'll see. Right, like all we're doing right now is just reverting to VWAP, which is here at this 117. So to me, I'm just waiting to see, like, are we just going to flag here, right? Is this just going to channel down as we push into this? And then do we go up off of this? Remember, like, this daily POC that we have here at 117 is also our 15-minute VWAP off of Globex, right? So like this is like the full reversion target that we're just kind of like traversing right now. Is there someone very clearly trying to push down from here at day open? Yes, right? Like this is why it was our long target and why we're only in runners now until we can get over this. But I'm not convinced in an overall short from here as of yet. I need to see what happens as we push down into this low. If Russell, pushes below VWAP and starts to hold that as resistance, and NQ also shows no interest here, then yeah, like this is definitely curling over, and then we can look for the downside movement. But like, we'll see. I need to see a bit more from sellers, which is what they're trying to do right now, right? Let's see if we find an entry that's actually worth playing on retest here. All we've done now is traverse to our value low of this range. So as we come in, if we're not going to come back to 130, we'll look for 117, 120 to be our offer now, right here. So we'll look for this movement and then down if it's going to happen. If we're not going to just get back above, we'll see. We can see that sweep on footprint as well. So just be looking into this.
So just to add some further detail in regards
resistance.
to the China urging Trump to remove curbs as it dangles investment.
I think if you
China
were
floated
short,
a figure of $1 trillion earlier this year, according
right,
to one
this
of the
is your
people.
first target.
But the size of the
And
potential
now we watch
investment
to see
being
if we get a
discussed
secondary
is
move.
now unclear.
Where we watch for it. The sweep is a bit more aggressive than I wanted to see, especially with the flat Russell. But we can look to play around. Still waiting for entry, personally. Like, I definitely see the short on NQ, like I've been saying, but I just don't like flat Russell with it. It doesn't seem convincing to me. Like, I feel like I'm going to get stopped out both ways. So we see a more convincing sell from RTY. I still haven't entered short. We have 50 seconds until new 15. I'll probably enter on that if we're still bearish. If not, then again, like we're just gonna pop from here and then back into 130. Figure it out. But new 15s should give us an idea of what we want to do. And again, like I see the structural shift, I see the order flow on NQ. I just am not convinced because RTY is still where we want it to be. And we know that like NQ isn't in control right now. And so I have to respect the sectors that are leading on the day. And so I'm not taking this trade because of that. If it was a normal day, like these NQ setups would be chef's kiss, but because we don't have like any momentum, I am chilling. All right, new 15s have opened. Offer attempting here again at our edge. A good sign. Sell side wants to continue down. Let's see if we can get below. Still very two-sided here. How do you gauge when Y is leading and the other dependent on it? Russell move to other indices. Yeah. So I mean, you can use historical right on the day to see like where pivots have been. So something that I really like to do is just use like common sense at the beginning of the day and be like, okay, well, like what do our RTY lows and highs look like? And I'll hover my mouse over it. Be like, well, what did we start to see when RTY had weak? What did that look like in movement on NQ?
Sources say
What
OPEC
did that
Plus
look
set
like
for another oil
movement
output
on
hike on Sunday. Size still unclear.
right? Like what did our pivots look like on RTY and what did that look like on the rest of the market? Did that lead downside? So like what happened when Russell lost momentum? Well, yes, push down, right? Well, NQ pushed down and then went sideways. So it's like we have to wait for these things to find their low um before we can get that continuation, or we should expect basically just chop. The way that I'm putting value on it though is that I know that the Russell is much more heavy in regional banks, healthcare names, energy names, right? So the way that I'm weighing it is that I'm looking at our sector list, right? These are our sectors. And I know the weighting of what's inside the Russell compared to what's inside NQ. And so when I see that these kind of names are leading on the day, I know that we are in a Russell focused market, right? Our mid to small cap market compared to a tech heavy growth market on the day. And so until we see something shift in that, I have to use names or our sectors, which actually move these, right? Or our indices as a reference point. We have a full video on this covering sectors, how to look at it, but that's kind of like a rough. It's just like what's actually moving on the day, what's actually going to give us that lift, right? And then using that as kind of our main pivots or our bias to let us know when things are actually have the ability, the directions that we want. Not all the time. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's a good gauge. Even when it's not working, it's at least keeping you out of bad trades or trades that don't make sense with your edge, right? Like if you can't figure out why the market is doing what it's doing and you don't have a great understanding of what's causing the market either to be very neutral or is very bullish on the day, it's probably a good idea to step out of the way, right? And just like don't trade it. if you can figure out what sectors are moving and where those pivots are on those sectors, then it only makes sense that when those sectors reach said pivots, that we then see, unless something is drastically shifting. You get me, right? Like it only makes sense that like when those things find pivots and find relief, that we then see market movement across the board, right? Because the things that were carrying us or accelerating have finally come to a point where relief can be expected. So the overall market should then see that. It's the same logic that we apply to tick, right? Because tick is showing us our overall market, I'm going to call it like market depth, but our market breadth is probably a better word, of the amount of stocks that are in an uptick or a downtick. That is the tick index, right? That is what that's showing us. It's a very similar concept, but I'm applying it to our sectors instead of every stock in the S&P 500 to give us kind of an understanding of where breadth or where we should be expecting. Because remember, like we don't need large movements to make money. We just need to know when things are going to find relief or are going to find kind of a loss of momentum where sell side is to be expected. Like, can we find areas where bids are expected and where sells are expected or offers? And if we can find that, we can trade around that because that'll give us very clear pivots that we can then play, you know, the quote unquote chop, right? We can scalp around that. If we know where relief is to be expected, we can buy and then we can sell into said pivot, right? And then that gives us 20 to 30 points regardless of what's happening in the market. And that's good money. So when we know that RTY is going to find a low here and it's to be expected, we don't want to be shorting NQ because we know that we have mixed signals. And so we want to just wait it out until we see Russell either weakness or this RTY recovery in strength. We know that Russell's in control, not NQ today. So that keeps me out and keep sitting on it while we wait. So like, can we develop out structural levels on Q of like what we expect to happen? Yeah, definitely, right? That gives us an understanding of where value is currently being traded, right? But like if that's not being respected and we see bounces and holds of our value lows, like, oh, okay, we're still just rotating. We should expect rotation until something. Yeah, no, it's very good, Club. And the more that you look at it, the more familiar you're going to become with it. And we have a couple of indicators that are pretty useful for that as well if you want to add that into a broader strategy. That go more in depth of like breaking down sectors between defensive and growth. But that's like the whole thing. But it's definitely very useful. But just like understanding the relationship of what it means to be in a there's this rotation that occurs, right? So there's the market, the money in the market most of the time isn't pulling out of the market, it's shifting into other assets, right? So like that's something you have to think about, is like there's a difference between tech names selling and then that money not going back into the market but just going into someone's bank account, right? Like a lot of people aren't actually pulling out of the market. Like the market cap itself isn't really changing that much, and when it does, when people pull their money out of the market and they're not putting it into another asset, like that's bad, right? But most of the times when you're pulling money out, you're redistributing it somewhere else, right? And so that's that shift from growth names, like tech names that we expect big, large growth and are more risky, into more defensive names that are in markets that are more bearish, expect to either maintain or go up, right? So more defensive names usually are energy names, right? They're more of our financial, our regional banks, our healthcare names, our utility names, things that people are going to be using regardless. And so we'll see that shift, and we'll see when those tech names are weak and we aren't expecting a ton of movement, that we'll see that shift or that rotation of money back into those names. When the market is bearish overall, right, we see all of those names go down, and then we get this very strong trend to the downside. But when we see this kind of like mixed bag market, it's more of a defensive market, and so we shouldn't be expecting tech to lead. We should be expecting, you know, RTY to kind of like decide on what's going to happen, or our mid to small caps, I guess. It's just like understanding the relationships and being able to like form a bias based off of that. And again, like when RTY is able to find these lows and ES is able to get that movement, and then NQ can break these pivots and we get the full market participation, like upside can still happen, right? Like there's nothing like overtly bearish about tech names today. They're just sideways, right? So as soon as those names are actually able to find lows and find bids, like the market has legs, right? Like, we can keep going, but until then, it's just going to be a little choppy. That is all. And something that you can easily add to your arsenal is just like, if we are below our 30-second opening range, right, which is something that I value quite a bit because it's something that's valued in the pit, I am not looking for long trades until we show interest back above our day open or our 30-second opening range. I am only looking to close longs into said level. I'm not looking to then long in this area because we have reverted back to our day open, right? And what I'm expecting is that if the participants, let me back up a little bit. Most of our volume, or we have big volume spikes at the open of the market and at the close of the market, right? So these are people who are allocating funds, you know, larger participants who are allocating funds at the open of the market and moving assets around, right? And so if they don't want the market to go up, we will not go up. So if they are if there's a huge amount of volume at the morning that is showing us a sell, I will be playing around that level until we shift above it as my risk off. Because if those larger participants don't have any interest above, then why should I have interest above? I'm not the one that moves the market, right? So it's always that mentality of like, I am looking to be trading around the larger participants who actually move price. As soon as I can recognize that I do not move price, and my job is to find where buyers and sellers who actually move the market find value, then I am going to my risk is based off of them, right? So if we can push above this and start to show interest over our day open, our 30-second opening range here, and we can start to show an interest, that's a big shift in the overall like dynamics of the market, and then I will be bullish. But if like this continues to just kind of be resistance and we hit our heads on it and we can't get over it, that's a pretty good sign that like this is it for the day, right? Like there's just no interest over our 30-second opening range. And like, oh, okay, well then that's that. But if we can start to build above and start to do this move, which is what we're looking for, with Russell confluence, right, pushing up with us, like that's great. That's full market participation, and that's what we want to see. You know what I mean? And this is why we didn't take a short, is because Russell was at our point of interest, right? And that's what's pushing
S&P
market up.
500 index climbs
And it's a
to
good thing we
session
didn't take
high,
a short.
up about 0.5%.
Now we have to see if we can build here. This is important. Where is RTY? What did we just do? Well, We just traversed into our value high edge, right? So we've now done the full Russell movement as NQ is trying to break out. So if we lose Russell momentum here and NQ can't find an active bid, right? That's an issue because now we have no room left on the Russell and NQ is it a potential trap. So if RTY loses momentum here into our value high, we have room that we need to pull back and then the market lags, right? If we don't have these guys carrying us anymore, the upside, we then trap our NQ, we look back below, and then we continue downwards because we've lost momentum on RTY, which is carrying us. So this is just like a super important area to watch what the hell happens. And if we get this higher low here for a continuation over our value edge, can RTY sustain up here basically into our value high? Now that we've gotten our reversion from POC and VWAP, and we've pushed back up into this high. We need a bit more. This is ES into ADR as well, which is a bit rough. ADR is average daily range, for those that are new. I'm just going to be watching our ORM to ORL as supportive now, and then look for any bid back over 45s. This yellow box. We can hold here and then look up and build. This is good. If we can't do this, then I don't want anything to do with the long. Yeah, man. Problem. Spy Family Season 3 starts tomorrow, Roy. Yeah. You dressed up as the characters for Halloween and you didn't even finish season 2? It's crazy. If we're gonna get followed through here. Not looking great. $800's call wall, I'm pretty sure. On ES. Also ADR on Russell into our value edge. Just need to build this out. See a bit more momentum on NQ. I'm still trying it, but like I could definitely see this just being a trap if we continue to just stall here, and then we'll just have to flip. Lack of momentum in this edge is not great. $60 for sure, and then we'll figure it out from there. I've got 60 and then 78, and then if we can hold here. But again, like I just I need to see a bit more from buyers for this to feel real. Or again, it's just gonna like stagnate and then stall out, and then a look below 130 is gonna be rough.
seeing the Russell 2000 index hits intraday record high, last up about 1.5%.
Holy, slow down. Has been. With the complete loss of Russell momentum into our value edge after bouncing VWAP up, it's just a waiting game now. No change. NQ, no momentum. We already knew that. It was moving up because RTY was moving up with the rest of the market, right? So gotta wait for this thing to find another bid and actually do something. NQ, just rotating our 30-second opening range or our day open. We are back to our 130, where we know that there is a lot of two-sided trading happening. This is where our more passive buyer is sitting, trying to take in size. If this flips and these guys above become offsides and this offer steps below 130 and starts to hold that, I think we're donezo. I think that's that, to be honest, but we'll see. We need to see some buyers show interest and get us back over 145 from here if we're going to go up. It's just not a good look from buyers from stagnation in the stall like we were talking about. POCs are built above us, right? We can see sell side really trying to slam it here. We're back to POC here into our 130. If we don't see like an extraordinary bid here, again, I just NQ is not it today. Got need RTY to help carry. We'll see. This 130 bid's got to be clear now that we've reverted back to this POC, and we got to get back over 145 and show secondary buyers really start to step on the gas. This is their last chance here. You can see them trying. We need to get over 145 and actually bid. Get back over these POCs on footprint, right? Very heavy up here. All right, so I'm just highlighting this so that you guys can see. We've got our range from here. This is our value edge high, which we're holding right now. This is that 130 that I was talking about where we need to see that bid. That's clear so far. What we need to see now is the ability to step over these highs, right? This is our range from above where we just built out these highs into our 30-second opening range, right? From our 130 hold, we now need to see a very clear pop and push above this 145, 150. We do that, we go up. We fail here, we then look for our push down, in my opinion. Like, if there's no interest, there's no interest, right? Like, we have 40 seconds until new 15s. We need follow through from a secondary participant. We can't just keep rotating back to this value and expect expansion, right? The longer that we sit here and the longer we show no interest above, and the more that these participants are just trapped, right? And sell side starts to weigh on this area, the more likely downside is than upside. We need people to show interest above. It's great that the buyer is still present here at 130, but they've got to do something with it. And please like note that I haven't talked about a short. I'm just saying that can't speak. A loss of momentum does not equal expansion, right? It just means that we're starting to crawl over. We still need a break of structure for us to have a valid short. So is this potentially our high short term? Yeah, definitely, right? We're currently holding our 150 or 145, which is our 30-second opening range, right? There's no interest above this. Can you short off of this with this risk right at the stop here above? Yeah, totally. You can try it. But understand that all we're doing is pulling back to this value edge right now, and this is our current rotation. And this could be our current rotation for the next 4 hours, for all I know. But we'd have no expansion potential until we show interest above that 145, 150. That's all I'm trying to get at. Is like, we're still in an overall trend up, but it's sideways right now. And until we either push below these buyers here at our 110, right, this 106 to 117, these lows here, and offer it like we have pathed, there's no real downside move, but there's no real upside expectation until we show that interest over 150. Does that make sense? That it's just balance. It's chop. And there's no like expectation for upside until we show interest above, but there's also no real like expectation for downside other than a reversion back to our bottom of balance until we break structure. All right, that's the I know it can be confusing when I speak like this, so that's why I'm really trying to talk a bit clearer here. Or yeah, it's just it is what it is, right? Like the last two 50-minute candles are dojis. Like what do you want? What do you want from me? No decision. All we know is that there's no interest over our open. That we have flat POCs. Does that make for good trading? Hell no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Thursday opening range is great, club.
Good
Do I have
morning.
more? Well, yo, what's up, man?
Hello.
Do I have more packing to do? Yeah, I do. My move-in is I've got movers on sorry, I'm officially moving in next, but I get
You said the
keys on the
6th, right?
6th. I get keys
Yeah.
on the 6th, right?
Wow.
So, but I don't move in until the 12th. Technically, that's when I movers scheduled. So, yeah. So like I'm still living here, right? So like I'm not fully packed. I'm still here. So I'm like packing up like the living room and the kitchen, but like still have like essentials so that I can make food and you know. So it's a very slow process. But like I've packed up like my bookshelves and all of that, which is a lot of my house and like all my records. I would say like 80% of the weight of like if you had to like take all of the items in my house, I would say 80% of it is books. So I packed up a decent amount. What's up, Kevin?
Well, we're finally going up during RTH, huh?
Yeah, kinda.
It's not going down.
Yeah, yep. That's what I'm telling them. It's like it's here. Take pics of what?
He wants you to disclose your entire apartment.
Dude, that's what I did last time, and then everyone knew where I
I know.
lived. It's bad.
That's why I'm waiting to see pics of Rory's apartment.
Let me see your living room, man.
How
I know
clean's your
that's where you
toilet
are
right
right now. That's how I judge you. I want to see your stove countertop, and I want to see your toilet.
For real.
You have a 40-second timer. No cleaning. Let me see the crumbs, bud.
Of course, it's gonna be clean. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know,
and
man.
inside of the microwave. Those are the 3 things I want to see
Yes,
before to judge your character.
for real. Mainly the microwave, man. Holy, what a shout out.
You did say you're in the same building as a politician. Yeah, that's why I'm not afraid at this place. There's so many police here. But my next place does not have the same security, so I will be a little bit more private.
So just a heads up, at the top of the hour, expected to hear from White House Press Secretary 11. We'll put out the feed for you shortly. Like,
Drug sniffing dogs? No. There's so many people who smoke weed in this building, man. I guess it's legal here, but no drug sniffing dogs. But there is I think the mayor's on the 25th floor, and as soon as you open the elevator doors, there's a security checkpoint with like two officers sitting at a desk for that floor. I feel so bad for everyone living on that floor, man.
Well, imagine if that was like your station for your job. But,
Yeah.
like,
They just chill. They just drink
yeah.
coffee all day.
Like, do you get to patrol today? No, I sit at the apartment.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's such a bad use of taxpayer money, man. There's like 3 or 4 cops that are on duty for it. And even like the detectives like show up and are like going to like the mayor won't leave some days. And like the police commissioner will like go to his house to like have conversations with him there.
Yeah.
And then when he drives away, he's in like an Escalade and has like security. Like there's an officer who drives him around, and then there's I don't know. It's very strange. I don't know. It feels a little corrupt. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I think it just adds to the disconnect people feel to their local politicians
Like
when they
no one
shouldn't
cares
feel that
about
way.
this guy. Like why do you need all this security?
Yeah.
What do you? No one cares about you. It's Cleveland, Ohio. You're not like the mayor of New York, man. Like no one
Yeah.
cares. It's crazy how many people are moving out of this building. I don't know if this place is gonna last. We'll see. My dad's moving out as well.
He is? That's
Mm-hmm.
surprising
It is
the
very
way you've talked
surprising.
about it.
Yeah. His girlfriend wants to move though, so it's more that I
Sure.
think. But I was very surprised when he said he was moving. Full range rotation here on NQ, no change. Coming back down into our low. Again, if we can get below 106, 117-ish on NQ, that'll be pretty bearish in my opinion. But as long as this is maintaining our low, we just rotate back up to 140. We'll see. Market's dead. I'm pretty worried about my dad's new. He's right on the lakefront. Like they
It's
said
be
that like
cold, man.
the build they were like the building was designed with environmental engineers to uh it'll never freeze over, because like the biggest problem is if you live on the lake is the winter ice. All
Yeah,
of that water just like freezes the entire side of your house.
yeah.
And there, I was like, okay, well that's gonna be an issue because you have like a veranda now, and it's right on the water. Like you're never gonna be able to. I don't know. I don't believe anything that those people say. Here, like let me see if I can find a good picture of ice effect, lake effect snow. Yeah, this is what the side of. I'm gonna come over in the winter, and this is gonna be the entire side of his place. Like he is right on the water. There's no way that his place doesn't look like this. There's no there. Russell's still flat. Yes, it's still flat, just holding ADR's resistance. Here. Back to POC here on ES at R94. NQ also just at POC here. Change. We are balanced between our 140 POC that we were trying to develop out above, and then this POC down here at our, like, whatever you want to call it, just node to node, right? Building out this upper node. What we need to see is like, because we built out two separate nodes that have now connected, right? We have this up here, down here. They're now creating one larger. So we need to see either a very clear build above or below, right? That's what's creating this auction. Does that make sense? How we've taken like these two fixed ranges, two distributions, this lower one and this upper one, and now we've created one larger. Like this is our balance. So we can either show very clear interest below this edge or above. We have a lot of work to do. I mean, well, like that's the thing about not being in a house, right? Like we don't have to do anything. Why? That's why I don't live. Why I don't own. I don't have the mental energy to deal with home ownership, man. Could not be me.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So whatever company will deal with that. I mean, they promised him that like it won't be a problem. I don't know. What's insurance? I mean, it's just renter's insurance. What do you mean? He doesn't own. No, he sold. I got him to sell his house right at like the peak of the, you know, quote unquote bubble. Maybe like 3 years ago. he made like a $300,000 profit after owning the house for like 2 years. And now he's just
Huge.
been renting. Yeah. Percent. Yeah, it's crazy because his first house that I grew up in, he made zero money on it, right? Like he had a mortgage for forever, and then uh they sold that house after his divorce, and he made no money on it. It was just miserable because it was a bad market. And then a few years later, they bought another house after his divorce with his new wife, and I don't know, they bought it for like 200K, maybe 250 in Cleveland, which is like, it sounds cheap, but that's the Cleveland market. Like, it's a good house. And then I think actually like only 2 years later, they got a cash offer the day after they posted it above asking price for like crazy what the market was. And we lived in that house before for like 20 years, and he made zero money. It's just insane with how like much of a bubble we're in. You look at it from that perspective. Cash offer from like 25-year-olds. Hmm. I mean, I told my brother not to buy right now. I think buying now is, but I could be wrong. You see, Trump is talking about giving everyone $1,000 to $2,000 from tariffs. He's going to give you your money back.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
I shall gamble it
Yeah.
like a good American will.
Yeah. 10 DT. Yep.
James go from the top of the hour. Expected to hear from White House Press Secretary Levitt. We also get the Baker Hughes data. Baker Hughes total recount prior 549, oil recount prior 424.
0 DTEs on Intel's got to be brain damage. Out of all names, Intel.
We have posted out the video of White House Press Secretary Leavitt for her upcoming press briefing at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Mm,
I'm just going to give the Baker Hughes data.
This is like a last chance for me, to be honest. This is all I'm looking at is can we
Baker
sustain
Hughes
here
total recount prior
off this
549.
look below?
Oil recount prior
The rotation's back
424.
up for the balance play? Or is this going to offer hold, right? So like this would be your first risk off into 130 before, right? But you can push up, then 150 probably where we're headed. 4150. Just watching. Very clear downtrend since the sell at the 150 high at our opening range high. An eye on this. Here, I'll put a channel on it. RTY is still sideways, so like again, it's very hard to be like overtly bearish until we start to see that start to pop down. And then it'd just be sellers pushing us back down to VWAP, right? And then we'll look for bounces get back down in here on the overall market.
Surely expecting the Baker Hughes data. Also, surely expected to hear from White House Press Secretary Leavitt.
Look below. Let's see if this can hold on flip.
Total rigs 549, 549. And oil rig count 422, 422.
Got my first risk here into 90. Remember, 80 to 90 is where we took our primary buy for this entire rotation up. So buy is either here still, or this flip will be our larger shift to the downside. And again, remember, like, we're targeting RTY coming back into swap as like we have. That is your push into secondary target here off of our 91st target, and now into PVZ low here at 60s for the full rotation off of failure to hold our balance low. And we have a bit more room with Russell coming into VWAP, so you can hold a runner. Wait for Russell to come into VWAP and then look to risk off.
Can't believe how he sliced through some of these areas on ES there. Holy.
This is full push down into target, 34 to 44. Again, Russell is VWAP is target for like the overall move. This is just full rotation. I just have one left here. Watching to see what our reaction is in the VWAP. This is where you'll get a reoffer, Roy. This is now Russell target. So off of our pivot, this is like 1200 a contract now on NQ from the flip. Russell into VWAP. Watch for a bit of a bid here as we push down into this value low and VWAP. I think, as well as our reversion here on NQ, our reversion box on PVC. So I'm going to start to be looking for a secondary entry here. Risking, I'm fully out now on my NQ short from higher, and I'll look to re-enter. We should get a bit of a bid here. So we've gotten our Russell VWAP test. Should see a bit of a bid, and we'll watch for a reoffer. I think 83, 85 on NQ, and then a rotation down to 30-second opening range is probably what we're watching for, or something like this. It's going to be just like another reversion to 25K. Same thing happened yesterday when I left. A bit's trying at 32. I don't know. Not in yet. I'm fully out from short, from above, just waiting. I think this area is going to be a little volatile. I'd like to see like a better reoffer, maybe into like 65. 65 on NQ. I feel like this POC would be cool, but I don't know if we get it. If RTY keeps going down and we don't see any bid down here, then it doesn't matter, right? We just keep going down with RTY. We have full market participation in the sell, right? We'll have to see. Remember, this is where we bid last time, and this was like the whole idea of this rotation up that we were getting that was bullish was from here. So this is why I've taken off my short, because I expect it to be volatile here and a bit of a retest. The market is just RTY right now. Again, remember, like sector wise, market. So wait for this to figure itself out, and then we'll get a nice little secondary move. Yeah, let's see what happens if now that we've pushed into like 65s. Yes, into our edge. I feel like sell side's here at this like 65, 75, or we just revert back up to 110. Like that's like it. Like if Russell doesn't care, shouldn't care. Do you feel me on that? Do you understand? Like if RTY is gonna find this bounce where we thought we would, right? We gotta wait for this to find resistance before next leg. So just keep an eye on this like 65, 75 area on NQ while RTY is also finding this little bounce. And if we can hold here, probably a good look for continuation down. right? But what we've done is we've reverted, right? We failed, and we've rotated back down to our reversion zone where we've taken profit, and now we're watching our PVZ value low at our 65 here, right? For resistance for this trade, because this is now a reversion from our reversion zone to our first target. Now you watch this area as where resistance is likely going to be if we're going to continue down. If it's here, awesome, right? This is where we look for that sell side to shift value. We can continue down and trend. If they aren't here, this will become supportive, and then we will look for rotations back up to our high. This is the test. If RTY doesn't want to go down anymore, then the market doesn't go down anymore. It'll just be a reversion to VWAP.
The White House press briefing has now started.
Here we go. Yes, back in the LVN now. What a move.
I think there's one more leg. Just to VWAP, like 105, 110. Or whatever comes first, either NQ into like 105, 110, or Russell into 511. Again, it's fully based off of spec edges here. We lose momentum on RTY, we lose momentum on the just is so for that off. That's anywhere. And again, it's just a matter of like if we lose momentum into this high, we'll just expect a rotation. And these are your pivots for NQ. So I'm kind of expecting possible down or a very clear flip back above this node, then a continuation up. so hard to. The wrong thing over and over again. Oh my god.
Surely expecting the result of the Fed reverse repo operation.
Watch your like 65.75, which is our first pivot. See if that's bid now for one more leg up to 105, or if it flips offer again. You're just waiting to see if Russell can put in a higher low.
Tesla shares fall 3.2%.
A failure at our highs. It's again like we went to Russell target and we showed no interest above. Russell is the market, right? So if we know that Russell can't get over value high and we're seeing no interest above, then we will curl back over and go back down to where their interest is below. We immediately find a bid into our low, right? Where we found it last time, where we took our long. Just a reversion of that area. It's just balance between. So, like, as long as we're understanding that the market
14
doesn't have
counterparties
any
take
legs, unless Russell
$25.392
has
billion at
momentum,
the Fed reverse repo
like,
operation.
we will traverse that range. That's really it. And there's no interest yet above day open on NQ. So, like, without that, there's no expansion potential. It'll just be reversions to VWAP proven otherwise, you know?
So just a reminder, in 10 minutes' time, Fed's Logan is due to speak at the 10th Annual Conference of International Economics, hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas and the University of Houston. No
Fed
text is expected,
Logan.
but a Q&A with moderator and audience is expected. White House Press Secretary Leavitt says Vought is discussing consequences of continued shutdown.
See what happens here. Back into our lows. This is our 20 to 30 edge. We flip it. I'll look for offer. If it holds, then same, more of the same. Just rotations. Back to our 80, 90.
Yeah. What I've been talking about this a lot if you ever watch the classes for Michael for the market overview, but even though we've been going up, this market has definitely been like driven by sellers. They're just like allowing price to kind of transact, but the second they step on, like it's been getting nasty.
I am out one here into 50 from 30 for 20 points. Levitt is speaking. I don't know if anyone wants to listen to this demon, but yeah. Chat is just spamming. Her husband is 70 years old. True, by the way.
So just a reminder, in 5 minutes' time, Fed's Logan is due to speak at the 10th Annual Conference of International Economics. No text is expected, but a Q&A with moderator and audience is expected. Currently, we can't find a video for this discussion, but we will keep looking.
All right, let me see if I can the levels on ES while we wait, because I think the NQ levels are pretty solid, but there's not a ton here. So then like our 30-second opening rate below us. This edge here on probably be it. We're gonna be base node. I think this is good.
Levitt says Trump has several meetings on the books today.
Hell yeah, doing his job. Love that.
Surely expecting comments from Fed's Logan. The Nasdaq turns negative, last down 0.2%.
New
So
15s
just a reminder,
here.
in 10 minutes
New
time,
30s.
Fed's Jefferson is due to speak on the economic outlook and monetary policy framework at Drexel University. Text is expected, plus Q&A.
Sell side has to be like pretty strong here into 30 to 40 if we're gonna head down. Keep an eye on Russell, back down to our lows here. ES bouncing off our 30-second opening range at 74. This has to be like a sell side sweep here if we're gonna go down, or we're going to punish sellers. This has to then continue down from here, or this will punish sellers and pop. And I look back above, my opinion. You want to see a pretty active bid here on the look above now and now a retest if we were going to keep going up. If buyers aren't here, we'll look at this as an indication of a potential seller trapping, and then we'll look for that pop below 20. If we can hold here, this is great. Then we just keep going. If this guy fails and then we see a seller step below 20s, that should lead to more. This is just either the bid stepping in and now securely holding this level, right, as supportive, or we'll end up trapping here and then we'll look for sellers to then take advantage, pop through. So super important.
Just a reminder, in 5 minutes' time, Fed's Jefferson is due to speak at no live stream of the event, but a Q&A and text is expected.
I'd like something to happen relatively soon. I'm not really trying to stay here for the day. So if this doesn't happen within like the next 10 minutes, I'm just gonna.
Fed's Logan says tariffs have been contributing to inflation. Surely expecting comments from Fed's Jefferson. Fed's Logan says, I'm worried about non-housing service inflation that's been elevated and stuck there. Fed's Logan says both upside downside risks to my inflation outlook. Fed's Logan says if labour market were to slow more than anticipated, that could see more disinflation than currently expected. Ten seconds. comments coming in from Fed's Jefferson. Fed Vice Chair Jefferson says less than ideal not to get jobs report, but look across array of data to assess the economy. Jefferson says trends across several data series suggest job market is softening, could experience stress if not supported. The decline in net immigration, a major factor preventing more significant rise in unemployment, with both sides of mandates under stress with inflation above target and downside risks to employment increasing. Jefferson further says recent cut moved policy closer to neutral while maintaining a balanced approach. Jefferson says tariffs showing through in high inflation for some goods, but expect disinflation to resume next year.
Still can't believe they didn't get the jobs report out.
Did you see that they are not tracking any economic data while the government shut down? They announced that.
Classic. I just wish I wish that like I don't know how this would be possible, but in my perfect world, like that a lot of these reports were like not connected to the government. Because
Yeah.
it's the same thing with like the Biden reports for like they'd put them out and then a week later they would just like revise them. And it's like it's just why can't we just like have the data? Like we just need the data. Just give us what we need. Yeah. Well, because like a lot of these things seems like people try to make them partisan issues when it's just a government issue and it's just garbage, man, across
Fed's
the
Logan
board.
says the risk that tariff effects are more prolonged raises risk of rise in long-term inflation expectations.
You're on like a
Fed's Logan
2-week
says if the
timeout.
labour market were to slow more than as a repeat.
That was a funny one there, cause I don't know if other people caught that up. 2 months, bro. Holy.
We have posted the speech from Fed's Jefferson on the feed for those interested.
They open test here, ES. Bottom of range RTY. We're getting that extension toward yesterday's low on NQ here. Testing top of imbalance. This imbalance is from 85 essentially to 05. You have previous low right in the middle at 95.
Fed's
want the
Logan says
offer to be pretty
stimulating
sticky
demand
here
when
at
labour
20 to
market is
30.
broadly in balance would add to price pressures without increasing employment. The White House press briefing has now ended. Fez Logan says cognizant of risks to labour market. Fez Logan says we really need to be cautious about further rate cuts.
The Marvel X Destiny. True. Dude, if they bottle the Star Wars thing in a couple months, like it's actually over. I mean, it's already over,
Yeah.
but like but like the name still has value to Sony. You
Fez
know what I
Logan says
mean?
monetary
Like,
policy likely just modestly restrictive.
oh yeah.
I'm out 2 here off of our hold of 20 to 30. Looking for continuation, ideally. Feel like this is first target here into 90, and then second target is into 40 below. We can actually going down.
The
This
Nasdaq
is my
100
last trade,
index
regardless
extends
of what
drop to
happens.
0.5%. The S&P 500 at session lows.
Just keep an eye on Russell as long as that's continuing to fall. There's just no market. Yes, into previous day POC, trying to hold previous day POC and value high as resistance, as well as our 30-second opening range low. We'll watch for that offer to kind of maintain here. If that can happen, then we can look for that rotation down to previous day value low, which is your target into 754 for the next ES leg. Yeah, it's true. We should expect a little bit of chop here though. That's why I've taken off a little risk, because we're into this 90. See if Russell can get below and hold this. Can, like, right? Going down. Head back down to our 30-second opening range. That'll be your next target.
Huge, nicely done.
Noise.
So just a reminder, in 10 minutes' time, we're expecting comments from Fed's Myron speaking on Fox Business.
Oh, one below this edge, or sure. Yeah, the next target would be 4. Yes, still just looking for that like 58 to 54 area. This is going to continue to hold. Watch Russell for continuation down for that move down to our 30-second opening range and target. I don't know anything about forex. I would say it's probably not worth getting in. I get into it when you can just trade futures.
True. Oh, thank goodness Rory agrees. I was worried for a second.
My market maker, man. He's not in it. I'm not in it.
True.
This entire stream is just me. It's just an entire
The S&P
manipulation
500
for me to
index
get
turns
Rory
negative,
to
erasing gain of
follow
as much
my
as
pathing on
0.3%.
screen with his liquidity.
Feel like you have to say that's satire. I don't go to,
Yeah.
I am not going to prison over
Because
for
Rory's a market
Rory.
maker. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fed's Loken says right now we are furthest away from inflation objective.
Big
Alright.
take there through some liquidity on ES.
I've got one left. 15 average. Or 14 average on this last contract. This is it for me. But as a runner. Right back.
So just to clarify, Fed's Logan says right now the Fed is furthest away on the inflation side.
This is Russell, 30-second opening range. I'd expect a bounce here. This is ES into target as well. Previous day value low. It's your full value rotation. Just talking about.
Seeing
If
some
we-
downside movement in the S&P 500 off the back of Fed's Logan's comments.
If we start to show this previous day value low to ETH low as resistance, then you can look for one more leg down into 74, your ADR. But this looks like a pretty solid bounce to right at target. That being said, that was the trade. I'm done. Guys have a great rest of your day. And feels good. But I got one last in. It was worth staying.
So a reminder,
another 40
in
minutes.
5 minutes' time, Fed's Myron is due to speak on Fox Business.
Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Peace. For dinner, I don't know. Probably leftovers. Made like a ton of roasted chicken and a bunch of like roasted veg and like a big old thing of rice. And I've just been eating that all week. Yeah, sure. Second, I gotta reopen. All right. Goodbye, my friends.
Goodbye.
Oh, for YouTube. $20 to 45 flip, short, down in target, take off first risk, our 75 to 90, take off our secondary risk as we push down and into target. I'm full. You guys have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend, etc. I will see you all Monday. If you have questions, if you want to talk about anything, just hit me up on Discord. Yeah. Peace.